guys for having us. So I guess the whole theme of what we're speaking about right now is how does AI directly correlate to revenue growth and what we've found. So I know there's a lot of hype and buzzwords around AI, and we're finding what these systems we've built to allow us to in turn make more money, optimize and streamline our business. So to give a bit of a background, I've had a software development company for the last few years. We've worked with some of the biggest enterprises, banks, retailers. We even work with some well-known info guys to build out some of their products. And then we went into our own software. We started a software which clones, for example, Hormozi or Tony Robbins or Mike Chang, for example, and it encapsulates all of their knowledge, their voice, how they speak, so then their students can be on a call, on like a Google Meet with them. So that worked, but we found there's an even bigger value, what we're doing right now, encapsulating all of that with loads of different mentors, having them come together and evaluate your business. And then that's migrated into what we're doing now around like an AI operational model. So that's my background. Now we're moving into this, and Archie's my business partner.
Yeah. So my background was more like high ticket sales, corporate sales, and then started selling info coaching, started managing sales teams, and then eventually started working with Alex on the SaaS that we built called Mentally. And then we basically made our own SaaS obsolete through using Claude Code, pretty much, would be a good way to describe it. Yeah. And that was about 3 months ago. Ever since then, we just realized that the actual capabilities of this, what it can do for businesses, how it can reduce headcount, how it can increase revenue per head, and just generally speaking, in first principles, just make your business fucking better. So that's the goal for today. We haven't really prepared too much of a presentation because I think the best way to go about things would be to understanding like where everyone's at from a standpoint on technical ability, where you guys, what your businesses you're in. We already understand that kind of, and just generally what you want to get out of it, what your questions are with everything. So do you think that'll be a good place to start?
So I'll give you a quick story of what we've actually been able to achieve with the system that we created. So for one of our real estate clients, a few weeks ago, we needed some video editors for their team. Now we built out this full operating system for them, and it understood everything around their business, what they do, who they kind of want to attract. Then we needed some, so as I said, video editors. We said to the system, let's do it. Let's go find some video editors at 9 a.m. in the morning. Then it went off. I went to the gym actually. It went off, applied to an account on onlinejobs.ph. It then put the listing out there. It scraped all of the people who were applicable and correct candidates, sorted them into a spreadsheet, organized and went back and forth via email, evaluated their portfolio. So when they send their portfolio link, we actually saw their portfolio and if it was corresponding to what we were actually looking for, got their phone numbers, got their emails, contacted them, put all of them into a group chat, and had a Google Meet that same day, 5 p.m., without me having to do anything. I gave it that one prompt in the morning at 9 a.m. Then we hopped on a call, we told them exactly what we wanted, and by the end of the next day, we had 2 full-time video editors for this client. So that's kind of the potential of what we're building out right now. And with this kind of operational system, it can do most things that people can do on a computer. If you can do it online, there'll be a way to get around it with this. So we want to kind of just understand where everyone is at the room with AI, if they've leveraged it, if they've used it before. So who here uses Claude? I see most of you.
Hopefully everyone.
Anyone uses ChatGPT? Yeah? Claude more so, I imagine? Cool. Who here uses Claude Code? Okay, that's pretty impressive. And what kind of stuff are you guys creating? So I'd love to just hear, for example, who here has got a cool use case they've used Claude?
So one of our biggest acquisition channels was one-to-one personalized Claude blue emails, and that was taking around 4 hours to send 100. We were initially running background using Claude. We couldn't have that kind of thirds or fourths of time. So I just put it in the website and created it.
Nice. Crazy. And then what kind of output has that had for your, the business?
Yeah, so what would originally taken out 100 balloons, 4 hours, I can maybe do it in an hour.
Damn. So yeah. And then in turn increases the revenue by the... Okay, perfect. So what we've found though, there's a lot of people who are just trying to automate stuff out of their business for the sake of automating. And then we've come up with a formula on how to link these systems which we build out for Claude directly to making more money. So if you want to walk that through.
Around
the systems we're building out.
Yeah. So the one thing that you don't want to do is just build a fucking dashboard for the sake of it. Like, you got to think really like, I'm not sure where you guys are at from a standpoint of like principles of how you would approach this, but generally speaking, the way that we approach everything is just actually analyzing it through Elon Musk's first principles. You love them, but it's just, is this directly correlated to revenue? Is this actually going to save time and the next thing is evaluating if it's actually possible. So do you think a good thing for everyone would be to understand like if there's anything that people think could be potentially
let's sort of
systemized?
Hear, so there's a lot of ecom, right? A lot of info people, growth operators here. So who's a growth operator out of everyone, or does operational sides? Okay, a few ecom, a few other. Well, let's see where the room's at. What do you guys do, for example?
I do coaching for personal brands.
Okay.
And SMA.
Okay. So high ticket.
Yeah, high ticket.
Cool.
Yeah.
Most of the people here do high ticket stuff as well. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So from your background of then high ticket, what's the kind of flows and operational system that we've found?
Yeah. So it depends how scaled you're up. If you guys really aren't past like 20 to 50K a month and don't have like a team that you're actively building in terms of like CSMs, sales reps, as a business owner's perspective, you probably shouldn't be touching too many of these things unless, for example, like you're saying, like an automation in order to actively get clients. Like you would just fundamentally just need to get more leads and make more sales, right? But a few things, for example, we've been working on with clients on the corporate side is just data is the most important thing. And how can you aggregate all these streams of data, whether it's sales calls, whether it's internal meetings, into one place so that you as a business owner know exactly what's going on at any given point. How many of you guys are already automating this through like Fathom, for example? Not automating, but how many of you guys are already aggregating data from like sales calls into an operating system so that you know exactly what is happening? Yeah? Already doing this. And do you guys have, for example, like marketing agents going through a Fathom sales call on the kind of content that you could make based upon what you went through, suggestions around that? Yeah? Already in place. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So yeah, the whole key principle of what we're trying to get out here is I imagine all of you guys have so much data on your businesses. So much data of what, like for example, ads, social media, different acquisition channels, all these different metrics. Now that is literally the key, the gold for AI, right? Because it can process data better than anything. It can make sense of all these different acquisition streams at the same time. And then if it understands your business, it understands your ICP, the goals you want to reach, all of this kind of stuff, we can build out a full-on system which directly encapsulates all that data, knows how to process it for your business, and then can help you go in a certain direction. So for example, because it had all the data around the kind of company, the kind of people we're trying to attract with video editors, let's say, we knew exactly who to look for, who to scan, what was the best copy to outreach to those kinds of people, right? But then we can look at that from a different angle, for example. For example, ads. What's the kind of output you want to achieve? Is it to appeal to a specific ICP? Therefore, how do we get the data of that ICP to then help you understand that ICP better and reach them even more? Now, I guess all of you guys are doing that, but then with a system like this, it can be so much more powerful. Like, I'll give you a little story, for example. One of the projects we worked on, so you know Alex Hormozi did ACQ AI, right? And his whole thing was, it was a one-click upsell, like 6K, from his $1 million book launch, to then get the AI version of Alex Hormozi, train on his books, knowledge, all of this kind of stuff. And you can ask it in like a chatbot format, right? And that was, the main play of that was actually the data side. And I think it's really smart on how he approached it. And this is actually what we're doing now. So the people who bought his 6K upsell are hardcore Hormozi fans, right? They'll spend one click to buy his AI product. But then he knows that, and he now knows what questions they're asking. Therefore, if he wants to market towards that high ICP, he knows exactly how to market to them because he knows the questions they're asking, right? And therefore, all of his videos now, if you've seen the Hormozi highlights channel, are all geared towards the exact questions which are popping up the most from his high-paying ICP, right? So that kind of approach of capturing the data, knowing to a really granular level what everyone's doing, and then leveraging that on the back end to then help the marketing is exactly what these kinds of systems are building out for you. So that's why we're talking about the more data you guys have on your business or on your ICP, then the better the decisions and the better the way that you can outreach and attract that kind of client. So from that experience, what we've found, so what we've been doing ourselves, and this is a little bit of insider information, right, regarding Claude and skills and stuff like this. So we've been using a Claude skill as a lead magnet. All right, so we give, for example, after, like you apply to our newsletter and then you get our Claude skill. And the Claude skill talks about everything we're doing. So all these systems in place, if you'll notice, all these systems in place to allow you to to like download and make these Claude systems, right? But then on the back end, they install this into their Claude through an MCP. Then in the back end of that MCP, all the questions they are asking regarding business is all being tracked to a database. And then now we know what questions they're asking. And then therefore we know what our ICP is really saying and how best to market towards them. Then when we send outreach to them, or ads or whatever, we can unify those patterns and therefore outreach specifically to what they're asking in their Claude environment. So that's just one example. If there's any more you wanted to expand on?
Yeah, well, there's a next layer of that as well, where it actually soft sells people into what we would be doing. So obviously the lead magnet in of itself, it is helping them because it's auditing the person's business on exactly what they could be doing AI-wise, system-wise, in order to increase revenue per head and overall just make more money, be more profitable. But there's a next layer for us where it actually soft sells us into our done with you side of things. So it will reference my YouTube channel, Alex's YouTube channel, onto the exact videos that would be more beneficial for them. So it can give them the information from the YouTubes about what they would be, but then it can actually lead them to go and watch more of it, therefore obviously leading them back to my YouTube, and then they can go further down the funnel and be more nurtured and more likely to close. So that's an example of like one thing that we're doing on the data input side in order to aggregate more data on our ICP so that we know more, can market better towards them, and just overall understand that person more in order to direct more towards that person.
Cool. So any guys have any questions so far on what we covered?
So you said that you're running it on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a Claude Code bot that runs like a 100-person community. I'm tracking data from each individual ICP as well.
Mm-hmm.
Running that to a spreadsheet, but instead of, I'm about to do a workshop, and instead of putting the organic on the forefront, I'm going to put the AI bot as like a read and Jake bot. Sell that to a low ticket for a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, how are you tracking the LTV from that to then upsell to the high ticket after the workshop?
Yeah.
It's about to be like a $100 US workshop, like per person. But then the data from the bot we're tracking, which will then run back to my backend. But now my only like issue that I'm facing is obviously like DM setters, lead magnets, all of that. How then should I go about taking that data from the inputs that they use when they type out like I have an onboarding thing in the Claude. It's like, tell us a bit about you. Of course, I'm going to use that like content, but I'm also going to use it to upsell based off their pain points. Where should I take that data and what should I look for in the upsell?
In the bot to naturally sort of.
It's coming together, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like, of course, I have like 100 people every single day using it.
Yeah.
10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So the data.
Take one.
But it's working well on content, so like I'm producing all my content on my YouTube for it now.
Yeah.
But I want to run it as like a low ticket instead of running a paid organic like ad. I
Yeah.
just want to use the bot
Yeah,
because I know I can get more data for it.
Sick one. And is the bot actually has led to already like higher ticket sales, like done with you sales?
Yeah,
Or?
so I have a community and then the process is I scale them up to then obviously work one-to-one.
Okay.
So yeah, the LTV is quite good from the community to the one-to-one base
Not.
returns.
Yeah.
Of course, I can interact with that and be like, okay, sweet, because usually monetize. Yeah, let's upsell. So that's good, but like I'm running the webinar and I'm putting it on the forefront.
Mhm.
I don't know how to track the LTV. Like let's say after the webinar, who should I contact? Who's like a qualified lead? Who's not? Like would you determine that based off their questions?
When you say questions, you mean questions on the webinar or questions specifically to the bot on what they're
so like,
asking? Because
it's
you can
like-
track everything that they say to the bot.
Yeah, so like part of the webinars, you'll get access to this bot. And it's
Yeah.
booked, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, every single person that buys this bot is going to get like, I'm going to get all their data.
Yeah.
Who should I, like, how do I determine who to look for? Because like, let's say I get 1,000 purchases, right? Which is very like likely. How do I know out of these 1,000 people, based off their questions, who should I go and target and like cold call, try sell them after the webinar? Do you know how, like, is there any like suggestions on that? Because that's like the only issue that I'm really facing.
Well, it would just be, I mean, based on the people that you've closed, what are the main questions and concerns which they have? Like, I'm guessing you've already structured, for example, you have a YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you've already structured your YouTube based on like the general objections and biggest concerns. What is your offer?
So sorry, I should like reiterate. So for Alex, right, he's obviously getting all these people in this one bot.
Mm-hmm.
He then sells that bot as like an upsell, doesn't he?
Yeah. So the bot naturally upsells them and references the YouTube. So it leads them further down our funnel to, for example, it could suggest, it will give them the free value or audit what their current structure is on AI, but then it will lead them like, okay, you should watch the rest of this video in order to unpack the rest of the value in it or understand more on exactly how to do it yourself. or it can lead them further to just suggest them, for example, what the offer structure is. So the person using their Claude operating system already can start to understand what our offer is and how it can potentially help them on top of the free stuff. So you could train your bot to actually naturally upsell them in of itself so that you don't even have to call them.
It's good to like funnel them to my YouTube and like my
Yeah.
other aspects based on what they input.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good actually. Yeah, I like that.
And then it'd just be about training the bot in the right way in order to do that. And just encapsulating what the questions are which that person has. Because if they ask a certain question or YouTube's already designed to answer that question, the bot will obviously reference the value in the video to answer their question. And then if you get the bot to basically tell them, okay, you should watch the rest of this video to unpack the rest of this, and then give them the link,
Okay, cool.
then you can start pushing them further down the funnel, right? Without even you having to do that. And then obviously as well, you still track that data, so you know the general questions of like really good prospects.
Yeah.
And you can just like, give them a call and get an alert.
And where are you guys I guess that's your software that you're using data to.
Yeah. Just the operating system. So do you wanna show them what ours could look like, for example? Because that's just like one big thing. That's one stream of data, right? So you're gonna have streams of data from like everywhere in your business, from YouTube, whether it's from like Fathom sales calls. The goal really, from what we've been doing, and is just intelligence, right? How do you know what is happening at any given point? And you could do that by just aggregating all these streams into one big pond, if that makes sense, of just all of your data, so that you can just put everything together in one place and you can get those suggestions. And how many of you guys have like transcribed the whole of Hormozi, what he's saying, what you could do relevant to your offer and the overall outcome you're looking to achieve? You're doing it already?
For ChatGPT, but not for
Okay. Have you guys heard of Apify? Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you using it for transcribing or not really?
Content, this is working a lot better than what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Basically, just to do better analysis.
Yeah. Because now you know exactly what your competitors are doing at any given point.
Yeah.
And you also have the intelligence, like you'd have, I'm guessing, already set up like a context document, exactly your overall macro, what's your outcome.
Yeah.
And then based on those transcripts, it can give you data points on what you could be doing differently or improve from what your current structure, whether it's your offer, whether it's your strategy, your creatives, YouTube, whatever it is. But the whole point of the operating system is that it has all of the APIs connected, so it knows exactly what you put out there already. But yeah.
And then are you running ads to the lead magnet? And then if so,
Right now we're not running ads for ourselves.
So it's all organic?
Yeah, all organic, yeah. From like events and workshops that we do, we'll just get people to scan the QR code, and then we get them on our newsletter, and then naturally they can then start going through the funnel. Yeah.
Is there a reason you guys haven't run ads to it? Or
Right now we don't really need to. Like,
Right now, our biggest bottleneck is getting CSMs on board to understand exactly the offer to deliver for these people. Because it's at the end of the day, we're now looking at more corporate clients. We're looking for bigger organizations, and that requires us to actually understand every part about their business. And therefore, it requires a bit more time, human power, to then categorize all the data sources.
So you're just posting on like social media to get the
not
leads
even.
in, or?
Yeah, all of our YouTube right now, all of our current presence online is basically designed just to nurture people who come through us from like referrals who we just meet or just from events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like we haven't really optimized for organic growth yet, which we will do over the next 2 months, but we just want to structure our offer better, have better systems in place to be able to take on more clients.
Okay, got it. If you were to run ads to this, would you do like just landing, like what would be the campaign type you would use if you were to run ads to like a lead magnet for this?
You mean just what? How would we structure
Yeah, like
our
would you
ads?
do landing page views? Would you do like Facebook lead
Probably just
signups or?
yeah, probably just like a VSL book call funnel or like a webinar.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
And you guys got like much on that like intelligence side of, for example, how to structure your Apify to aggregate transcripts in together and set up your basic sort of operating system on Claude Code? Have you guys got much that you'd want to know more about that or like learn how to structure that better? No?
Are you guys actually structuring it? So you're plugging in all your data sources into this kind of operating system, into Claude Code? Nice. So for example, what kind of stuff are you plugging in? Whoever's doing it. Who's doing it?
So like for me, I just launched a consumer app, so I was doing a lot of like trying to define our ICP. So like every interview that I did, I basically just took the transcript and then I had like a Claude prompt based off of this book I read on test, and then I had it format the insights from the transcript into like a PDF, and then so like that was just like our database to try to narrow down our ICP.
Yeah. Okay. And then any more other data sources? For example, your social media. What's really?
There's like we just launched it 2 days ago, so we're like there's nothing really on socials yet. It's just been like doing interviews and stuff.
Yeah, and you're running ads for it?
Yeah, but that's what I was asking. Yeah, right
Yeah.
now we're just doing landing page views
Mhm.
and then trying to get them to sign up with their phone number.
Yeah, understood. Okay, cool. All right, anyone has anything else around Claude or Claude Code or this kind of operating system model?
What type of system are you using for the data? And when I ask that, I mean more like around the context. Because I know if you just pump loads of data into it,
Yeah.
the context can just keep compacting. So
Mhm.
how are you mitigating that
Yeah.
to make sure that like all the data that you have is what the data is?
So you need a very clear file path structure. So, okay, these are the memories of transcripts. These are, and it depends even if you have more transcripts, it can be specific transcripts from specific people.
Yeah.
Then it can be, here's your memories on whatever your company goals are, like what you want to achieve in the next year or something. Like you categorize everything, you can actually tell Claude to do it.
I've recently started using a write system
Mhm.
on Obsidian.
Oh, yeah?
Basically, it just does all of that now.
Yeah.
Essentially, it puts it into like different formats. So I get it to scrape all the data, obviously creates all the context files, puts it into the write system,
Yeah.
and then that way, then whenever Claude speaks to it, it's not this like compact
Mhm.
context file. It's
And you're using Carpathy's auto reset or,
Yeah.
okay, that system. So that's probably the best system right now. And then also, because all of these files are locally on your computer, it doesn't matter if you're using Claude, Codex, whatever other model. Like, to be honest, nowadays, I'd say Codex 5.5 is better than Claude for certain tasks. And I would actually say it's better for this operational system model. But it's beautiful because you can just switch the model out. And are you doing it in your terminal or are you doing it in...
I use
Yeah?
Converse, so now.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah.
So,
No, that's exactly what we do. So, yeah, cool.
and also with the way that you structure it, is it so like what are the main data points you'll aggregate? Is it from is it transcripts from calls? Is it transcripts from just YouTube, from
short
ads?
form, some ads if I see them, and then sales calls, strategy calls,
Yeah.
basically everything. So there's like a structure. So let's say I've got one client, we'll have like the sales call, and the strategy calls,
Sick.
then the competitors, then like within that structure, then it might be a YouTube video from that competitor, it might be a short film video from that competitor.
Yeah.
So basically any assets then, and it's just like this whole tree essentially.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's
Because
all.
you can just summarize it though, right? From, for example, like a sales call, like you can have everything you've ever done from that client.
Yeah.
Instead of just keeping the transcripts just raw, you could just aggregate them into a framework of just like the exact client document. And then that will save you so much more space and avoid you having to compact as much.
Yeah, that's it.
Would you say that's good?
And that's like, for example, what we do is, to be honest, we don't even watch YouTube videos anymore. We would find a person's channel, we'll tell it, like Alex Becker or Hormozi or whoever else, we'll tell it to scrape whatever we're looking for, like their top 40, 50 videos. It'll compact everything into this framework, and then we'll have that with all other people. Like there'll be Hormozi, there'll be Sam Ovens, Alex Becker, whoever else. It compacts it into exactly what you're doing, and then you can then orchestrate it as sort of like a council. If you guys have read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, at the end there's this mastermind section where it's like Da Vinci or the greatest minds are all coming together to speak about your idea, right? And that's what we're doing now. We're finding the best people for our specific scenario, like Naval Ravikant or Elon or Peter Thiel or whatever, bringing them all together to then discuss a certain topic. So if it's like a high level strategy direction, but if it's more like funnel kind of stuff, we'll use different names. And that's what we've actually found really, really useful to actually get a different kind of perspective to the one what we were doing. For example, 3 weeks ago, or a month ago, we ran a mastermind where we were talking to like Naval Ravikant's bot, and he was telling us about the 5 leverages, or 5 areas of leverage: code, content, network, capital, labor, right? And we were like, what are we strong in? So we've got all of them. We've got network, we've got content. Oh no, we've got network, we've got capital. Labor is what we're finding at the moment, and then code is, of course, we're a software company. So it was like, based on all of that stuff, since you're in Bali, the best thing would be actually to leverage your network and do some kind of mastermind. We put it together in less than a week. So these kinds of things allow you to take an outsider perspective and think about something which perhaps Archie and I wouldn't really discuss. So that's the kind of frameworks which have allowed us to really scale and really get this off the ground in like a few weeks, basically. Completely pivoting from a software to this now. And that, as Archie said in the beginning, that made our software obsolete. Because you can clone all the knowledge of Tony Robbins. But imagine having Tony Robbins with every other great mind, specific for your environment. So that's what I'd recommend. And if you guys want to check that out and know how to do it, learn or use something called Apify, plug that into Claude as an MCP, and then you can just say scrape all of these resources, and it'll pull it from everywhere. And anything that you want to scrape that can't be scraped through Apify, use something called Playwright, which allows you to actually scrape something on the web that doesn't have connections. So that would be the immediate step.
Should it do when scraping from all these different persons? Should it be multi-agent or just one mega agent?
Yeah, so you're going to spin off multiple agents. So in your Claude environment, you're going to say, I want to scrape all the videos of Hormozi and categorize it into a framework. So then there will be, to be honest, you can just tell Claude Code that. You don't need to set up some kind of automation or agent. You just tell it, build out this system, which will do it, and then it will go out and do it. And then once it's built that out, you can say spin up sub-agents, and it'll do it faster by getting 5 agents to scrape videos at the same time. That's how I approach it. I wouldn't really think of it like different characters or building out a system. You can literally nowadays say, do this, and it will find out the best path to do it.
Do you do any AI UGC?
To be honest, Higgsfield has come out with a MCP connector recently. So not specifically for us, because that's not, but for a F&B company in Malaysia we're doing, we're heavily leveraging that, yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, I use it for e-commerce, but do you know any software that you could use to make an automation that could spit out like 50 to 100 videos a day?
Higgsfield MCP.
And connect that with
Claude Code. Connect it to your operating system, and based on everything we've spoken about here, you can link it to know what data is actually working, what ads are working.
The Obsidian, right?
Pardon?
Obsidian?
Obsidian's sort of like a file storage place.
Yeah, but is that what you use to like link it all together?
No, you just say, so you go to Higgsfield, or you even type into Claude, I want to connect to Higgsfield, tell me all the necessary parts, then you go to Higgsfield, copy a code and paste it in, and that's it.
And that's when it goes back to the next step of data intelligence though, right? Because then if you know, and if you've already scraped using Apify, exactly what your competitors are doing on the ad side with the UGC's perspective, what your macro is, what like exact client you're trying to attract, and you have your own documents internally of like that exact like 80-20 of client that pays the most and is the best person. It then allows you to then make and get the best output from Claude in order to produce the best UGC creators. Cool.
So like that setup that you talked about hiring the editors and all that, that was just through Claude and the MCPs. Like how did it go to online jobs? Like
It used Playwright.
Oh,
so Playwright can do anything a person can do on the screen. It can actually move your mouse around and click on buttons, that kind of stuff. So that's how it did it. It knew my account details. So
Playwright. So like
Playwright, yes, Play. It's like a connector. It's just a thing that allows you to go online.
it allows the AI to make the mouse and shit.
Click the mouse on your browser, yeah.
Can the Playwright thing ever trigger like a ban? Because before I used like a Claude Code to do like a website scraping thing, but I had it's called ID for me. It's like a data site, and I have my account taken now.
Yeah.
Would like Playwright be better?
Yeah, Playwright will act like a human.
Right.
So it won't just spam click on the site a million times. Yeah. Yeah. But then going back to the point around Higgsfield, like this is what we're talking about. This whole encapsulation of a system allows you to leverage what ads are working, what your ICP is saying, all the data points. Then it can create the ads, right? Then post the ads, evaluate what's working, and it can have that auto feedback loop. It can start running simulations of what's actually working. So therefore you can gain more data, therefore leading for better decisions, feeding it into the system to then create more ads, which leads to more data, better decisions, and you keep going in that cycle. And therefore, the more you keep running that, the better optimized for your ICP or the direction you want to go in. That's why I'm saying in the beginning, it's so clear to outline what your goals are, your ICP, everything around your business. Once it has that initial foundation layer, it can start doing all this simulations to, in turn, make your company a better business or reach out for your specific ICP and make more money. So that's kind of the whole encapsulation of the system. And I guess there's a lot to take, or there's a lot to actually do. But I would say easiest thing is, if you guys have heard of Elon Musk's four-stage algorithm, it's basically around not automating immediately. It's finding what works, right? So his four-stage framework is simplify the requirements or challenge the requirements, delete what's unnecessary, simplify, and then automate. Automating is the last part. Right? Because there's no need to automate something which you don't even need to be doing. Therefore, that's how I would approach it. Is it something which is actually going to, in turn, make your company more revenue? And is it something that you can do yourself and it's taking a large amount of time, then fine, you can start building out a flow. And you just have to explain to Claude, what's the flow to build this out? Let's start ramping up, and then you start testing it. And eventually you get it to a point where it can start doing stuff autonomously. Hence what allowed us to have the video editor story in the beginning. So,
I've got 2 questions. First one, are you using any like Meta MCPs right now?
so we're connecting to Triplewell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you connected to Facebook ads, MCPs? No.
To be honest, no, I don't really try to touch that because it's
Yeah.
if you mess it up, it's a big deal.
And Meta will rug for you any day of the week, brother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know a few guys that make a lot of money from that. Yeah.
Fucking good guys, bro. Anyway, second question. Everyone's like AI this, AI that, but like I'm hitting you with a quick pattern interrupt. The people that are like sub 30 are like all over AI. Everyone in here, is everyone here using AI? Yeah. Alright. Everyone's sub 30? Yeah? Cool. We're all over it. Right. Like, where's the actual money in AI?
So what we've really seen,
Yeah.
the actual money is, to be honest, what we're seeing with the larger companies we're working with, it will dramatically reduce their headcount. Now, I imagine these guys, how big are your guys' teams? Like,
6, 7?
Bro, go for a walk.
Yeah, but what we've seen actually for the larger companies, it will dramatically reduce their headcount, and then in turn also make them more profitable, so therefore increasing revenue per headcount. That's what's going to make the money, because in the longer term, when you try to sell your company or position yourself to sell a company, that's exactly what they're looking for.
So my question is
So-
more like, but like with your current business, are you going to like people that aren't native with AI that are like boomers
Yeah.
and older, and they're like the bigger corporate companies, not just like the younger money, internet money? Is that like what you're finding where you're like, that's your edge?
That's what's really working at the moment.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, because for example, with Archie's operational background, an info company doing about $1 mil to $5 mil a month is considered dialed in. It's got CSMs in place. It's got all operations locked in. Now, a real estate company, or an F&B company, or a restaurant chain, or whatever, doing $1 to $5 mil a month, it's considered an average kind of company. Not much. They've got quite a bit of bloat, all of this kind of stuff. Now, imagine, like we were in Bangkok talking to someone around their business. We mentioned testimonials, and their eyes lit up. They were like, "What the hell is this?" Like they're doing $1 mil a month easily. They're selling over $1 billion in property a year. They've never heard of testimonials, or they don't use it. Now imagine that opportunity when you put AI and plus an operational background from the info industry. Like all of us guys are dialed in on all the little optimizations here and there. But you look at a big corporate company which has got a massive headcount of like 30 accountants, that can all be reduced. Now either you reduce that or you put it into a different area to make the most of those people. So what we're finding nowadays is we are really looking for the A players. We're really looking for the very best of the best. And that will allow us to then those people can leverage the technology, and we don't need the bloated company size, and we can move faster as well. So that's kind of where we're really seeing a lot of money being made with AI.
But to translate that for you and the info guys, I think the biggest lever is the ability to scale without adding headcount and keeping your team lean as fuck. Because if you can imagine like the turning radius of a massive cruise ship versus like a yacht, it's going to be a way shorter turning radius.
You sound like I got a small yacht, brother. You sound like I got a small yacht, brother.
No, but my point being is that you can now scale without like adding headcount, right? You can now scale done for you because you can have. This is when you start to get techie with actual systems, but this is when it actually gets beneficial, where you can already imagine how a info product agency could scale a done for you for creators, because they can just plug in their operating system, which they already have for themselves, plug and play into this creator, understand everything about ICP, all of the factors we just spoke about, and all it comes down to is just the people then, right? The sales team, the things which actually require humans to be interactive with, and if you're the most dialed in on that, then that's going to be what's going to separate you. That's going to be your competitive advantage. Because in 3 to 6 months, everyone is going to have this, you know? Yeah. So it's only going to be an advantage for so long. So it's like, how can you position yourself for the long term in the future with this? And that's why our vision is not to stay service-based. Why would we go to a company? Why would we help a business owner work on their business now, not in the business, reduce their headcount, increase their revenue per head in first principles, make them a fucking better business as a service? Why would I not just buy the company and then do that? And that for us is a long-term vision. And that's what's going to separate, in the corporate world, for example, the companies which reduce their headcount massively and have the highest revenue per head than the ones that have the longest competitive advantage. Because there's going to be a lot of players that get pushed out of the game for not changing. And in the info world, I see a lot of people moving over to the corporate because they see this. Because an average operator in info could go to corporate and make a lot more, have a company and get revenue share and equity in a company which can actually be sold and has enterprise value with the same skills as what they would have and be an average operator in the info world, right?
Anyone have any questions around specific technicalities you guys are struggling with, your Claude Code setups, your operational setups?
Yeah, so I use Airtable right now, like to do it's basically an automation with AI that integrates with key.ai.
For image and video
Yeah,
generation.
so it can make the AI UGC 30-second video for like 50 cents, and then a static ad is like 3 cents. But the issue that I'm facing is figuring out how to like set something up that goes in there and puts in the prompt, and then makes it on like a recurring basis. Because I have OpenCore, I have Manus, those are the main two that I use for the recurring jobs. But what would you use like for Airtable specifically?
To allow it to make the prompts.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do, like I've already set up the competitor scraping Reddit, Amazon, everything every day. And then it analyzes the awareness level, the size, everything like that. Gets me all the new information, then it updates a doc every day. Then I want to get it to extract that information, put it into like 50 to 100 prompts, and then put it into the Airtable and just run on its own. And then create like a feedback loop so that it analyzes the ad account like every day, every few days. And then it tells me what's working, what's not working. So then I can make better ads from that by giving it to my editor, who can then make 2 to 3 minute variations of whatever's working.
Yeah. And you're already doing that?
Well, I've set it up, but I need to make it so that it does it automatically, so I don't have to like go in there and do the prompts. That's what I'm like struggling with.
So that's the only feedback, and you're doing it what, on Manus? Or you're using Manus for the automation part?
I use Manus and OpenClaw, yeah.
Okay. Well, in OpenClaw, I know you can set out triggers, basically heartbeats, to schedule. So then you can have an agent create the prompt based on all the information that you said you had, and then feed that prompt into the system. And maybe if you want to start, to be honest, you can just feed it in, see what the output is, and if it's as good as the prompt you were giving it, then it's already there, and then you can just start having it on repeat.
Yeah. And for the like ideation, do you use Claude, like regular Claude?
I would, for ideation for myself, I never use the Claude app, or like the web app, because everything's actually, it's a similar setup to you. It's exactly in Cursor. You have the Claude Code extension, and because it has my file base and because it knows everything around my company, anything I want to do, it will be super personalized to my use case. And it knows everything around me without me having to explain, this is my situation.
Yeah. But I mean, like, for example, what I do is I create a project on Claude, and I have a bunch of docs that I give it from like mentors that I've had or courses or whatever, and then I just, whatever automation I want to create, I just use that project to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're using projects in Claude, that's a good, And then I'd say if to take it to the next level, that's when you go have it on your computer.
And for the analyzing the ad account, do you use Manus or no?
We use Apify. Apify can more or less has plugins to scrape whatever you need to scrape. If it's ads.
Does that connect directly to your ad account, or is that through?
So you can connect to the ad library, right?
Right.
And then see what ads are running.
I mean, like the data of your ad account.
Then you would connect something called Triple Whale.
Yeah, I know what Triple Whale.
Yeah, and then you'd connect that through an MCP.
I didn't know how to MCP.
Yeah, they have a connection. They've actually to Claude to OpenClaw, whatever you need.
So I use the API, but sometimes I've found it doesn't always give you accurate data. Like sometimes it guesses. Like if something goes wrong, and then it doesn't verify it. So how do you ensure that it's actually giving you accurate data?
So we have feedback loops in place. So this is where we create like a feedback layer to make sure it actually works.
Yeah.
So we evaluate what's been created. We then check it from a different angle, from like a different perspective, and then we evaluate it on a scale of 1 to 10. How accurate it is, how good it is up to our standards, and all of these. And then we have another prompt or another thing in the schedule to make sure it's a 9.5 or above. And it keeps going back and forth until it's accurate, it's the best optimized, and then it releases. Like these little skills, you can be creative in the way you put it into your code base or put it into your Claude bot, and it will start improving the accuracy, reliability, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What does triple weight do?
Pardon?
What does triple weight?
So it'll help aggregate all the data from your Meta accounts, ads.
Like data extraction.
Yeah, exactly. That will have the raw data, and you link it through a MCP API to your system, and then you'll have all real-time update information. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else have anything regarding Claude or what we've spoken about? Okay. So based on everything we've spoken about, then, what is the key takeaways in terms of stuff that we've said, which you could implement into your business immediately, like the low-hanging fruit? Anyone have anything?
Find something in a big company, like a $1 to $5 million company that they are not leveraging, and then make an automation from that and sell it to them. Like, for a high fee, and then just charge like the maintenance.
Is that okay?
That's one takeaway I got. Because you were saying before, like when Finn asked you, who would you sell to? You said to boomers, so that's what I got from that.
And I wouldn't sell though one automation though.
Oh, you'd sell
It wouldn't even be an automation. It would be like an operating system. Like we are ingrained into your business, so therefore our offer is not we're going to automate this. We are directly correlated to you making more money. Therefore, we can charge rev shares, and we can actually be directly correlated to the success of their business based on what we implement. And that's the kind of the strategy which we found really works. It's not AI for AI's sake. I know there's a lot of AI automation, a lot of AI kind of. What we've found, and this is what the trap we went into, is not doing AI for the sake of AI. AI which directly makes you a company or a business more money.
Yeah. And then I'd say the other thing is that, what's it, Apify? I think it was
Apify, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's it.
Mine was the feedback.
Which
I
one?
got the same problem as John, where it's like, it just hallucinates fucking data. And you're like, the fuck you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good to have that feedback.
There's something you can check out called Claude Counsel.
Claude Counsel, brother.
But it's exactly the flow I was telling you about. It does exactly that.
Is that like a skill? Is that like an AI? Is that actually running through a code to check the numbers on the data? Or is that, we don't know?
The way I've set it up
Yeah.
is so it actually just evaluates itself. It does a rerun,
Okay.
checks that those are numbers, and it matches the first run.
Okay.
Because if it's hallucinating, it's going to have different numbers to the
Yeah.
second time around.
Yeah. And then we'll see the gap. And be like, okay, we'll fuck.
Exactly.
Retarded question. The more context, the worse it gets with that. So it doesn't need to be like a fresh session.
To some extent, but these it's got a million context limit nowadays, which is like 30 Bibles worth of information.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. Unless you're already been using it for a few hours and then you give it that, then fair enough. But I don't really see it starts losing stuff until maybe a few hours in, or like a big session in, and then you just press compact and it starts from the
where
top.
the rank system comes in. Like it's a lot easier for it to find the correct information. Essentially, it's like this big web of like all the data. And if you're saying you need one specific piece of data, rather than going through your whole context file, we'll go to that specific bit, or the way that I've set it up anyway, it does that. So then you're not having to, it's not having to read through like this huge file each time, which makes it a little bit more efficient as well.
Cool. Well, good guys. Well, if you have any questions, just let us know. I hope that was helpful.
Brother, where's the QR code?
You want the QR
I
code?
want the QR code, bro.
Okay, I'll send you the QR code. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me, bro.
Now. Okay, I'll send it to you.
You'll be in the funnel, man.
You'll have the Trojan horse back and we'll see what questions you're asking.
Yes, brother.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, easy.
What do you use to store all the data, like CRM systems or like spreadsheets?
Yeah, I use Superbase.
Superbase?
Superbase is this perfect, just data storage place.
Yeah, that's just Superbase.
Just
And,
Superbase. Yeah, and connected to Claude. So I don't even touch Superbase. I just message my Claude. Yeah.
I don't personally use those.
Who's the best AI guru to consume?
Best
For what?
guru to cons-
Overarching. I don't have like a specific issue, but I run the Elon Musk model. Like I don't automate till I need it.
Yeah.
So like I'm not really like a big fan of just like doing it for the sake of doing it. But
Yeah.
I also love to like learn. So like who would you recommend is like a good guy in the space other than you two?
Yeah, because you can go on YouTube and search up what's going on with Claude Code, and every day there's a new video, right? But these guys, like, their job is to just post a new thing whenever it comes out. It's just irrelevant. You could just have a good file structure, find the best guys, like depending on what you want it for. I mean, you know the educational guys, that would be
To
the
be honest,
most
I watch on YouTube. I don't really watch like AI people or business people anymore. I'm trying to watch more macro stuff, like if you've heard of the All In podcast or that. Yeah, so that's a pretty
I don't
cool.
consume much media, so
Yeah.
I'm keen to. see who you guys watch.
So the higher level stuff, that's normally what, because the smaller macro stuff can be done by these systems. The higher level stuff gives you a different perspective, which you haven't thought about.
I think it means as well also from like the learning standpoint on exactly what the micro is. So if you plug in like how an Apify could work with like one of the educational guys on AI space, so and he just set up a good skill system to separate what is beneficial for
To be honest, I'd say you can build it out in your own project.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's more just like up to date, like who
There's like channels like AI Search, which is like for AI news.
Who did you say all in?
All in podcast. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Great guys. If there's anything you need, just let us know. But
Thank you.
yeah.